What's up, Sticky fam? It's KJ once again giving you an instructional video for roots. This will be the cymbal part for roots. Now, this was requested by Maddie. She asked me to come through and actually make this so that way we would have an actual video footage for y'all. Because I guess she learned it or y'all learned it, but there are, I guess, some confusing parts. So I wanted to show you how it has been traditionally performed. Now, with that in mind, obviously I performed with a different grip. I performed it like this instead of either the 2-finger grip or the 4-finger grip, depending on, you know, what background you use and whatnot. But still, with that, I am going to try to perform it as you would as your attention and things of that nature, and how you would be able to actually flip the cymbal depending on what grip you're using. So with that, we will go into a step-by-step process. We'll go through like the first part, the proverbial chorus. We'll go into the next part, going back to the chorus, and then of course towards the end. So for the cymbals, the first part is actually quite simple. You got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, crash, crash, choke, crash, choke, choke, crash, 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 crash. So in that visual, what you do is when you do crash, you look to your left, one cymbal going up in the air, the other one going down to your side, crash. Doing the same thing to the other side. And that's really the only visual that you have. So I'll do the visual and the music again from the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and crash, crash, choke, crash, choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 crash. That's the first part. That's all there is to it. Now, the second part is a little tricky if you don't know how to dance. So I'm going to actually try to break the dance down to you for those who may have 2 left feet. In any case, what you do is it consists of hip rotations or dips, and then it goes into shoulder swings into a body roll. So I'll show you what that looks like. You've got boom, bow, boom, bow, 1, 2, roll, boom, bow, boom, bow, 1, 2, roll, 1, bow, 2, bow, 1, 2, 4. So when your hip rolls, you boom, stop, boom, 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 boom. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. So again, if you don't know how to dance, it might be a little difficult, but that's the way that the dance is performed. Typically, what you would do is, I'm trying to back up a little bit, and I apologize about the mess. I'm doing laundry. You would typically like have your legs more than a little shoulder width apart, and at that point, to give you some stamina, 2, 3, 4. You can also own your own flair to it, but you all have to look the same, just as normal. You know, you can add your flavor to it, but as long as y'all look equally alike, then that's fine. Even if you look bad doing it, as long as you look the same. But still, once again, bow, 2, bow, 2, roll. Now, adding the music to that, you've got choke, 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 crash, choke, 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 crash, choke. And that's how the second part is played. So with that, we'll play the first and the second parts together. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and crashed. Crash, choke. Crash, choke, choke. Crash, crash, crash. Crash, 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 crash. Crash, choke. Crash, choke, choke. Crash, crash, crash. Crash, 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 crash. Crash, choke. Crash, choke, choke. Crash, crash, crash. Crash, 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 crash. Crash, choke. Crash, choke, choke. Crash, crash, crash. Crash, crash, crash. Choke, 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 choke. Crash, choke, 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 choke. Crash, choke. All right. Third part. We'll play the music together and then I'll show you what the visuals are. Visuals are pretty simple. But the first part, you got crash, 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 crash. And I'm not throwing the hooks here. I'm not a cue. But when you do, you're throwing your cymbal up to your ears. Again, this is not a hook throw, but crash. That's all you're doing is just showing the outside plates to the outside. So you're bringing your cymbals in, so the bell should be near your ears. Crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 crash. And that's it for the first part of the third part, if that makes any sense. I'll play it, and then I'll show you that at the very end, there are some flips. So you got crash, 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 crash. Also dip when you do that. You bend your knees slightly and then come back up. So I'll do that again because now there was some parts that I was forgetting, but I wanted to be sure that I remember that correctly. But yes, it is a little bit of a dip. So crash, 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 repeat, crash, 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 repeat again, crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 flip, crash, flip, crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 flip, crash, flip, crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 crash. So when we used to like do like a full grip where we didn't have, didn't use like the finger straps to be able to like to actually blaze the way that we wanted to. Instead, we were just doing like simple motions by doing a full grip. It used to be like flipping down here, crash, flip, but because you're using the 2-finger grip, it's best to kind of just do it up here. If you want to go down, you can, but it just makes more sense to just, as long as you do a flip. So crash, flip, crash, 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 crash. All right. So let's put the first, second, and third parts together. What I will do actually is then go back into the chorus of the refrain as if to do like a quick reprise, and then we'll go back into the third part, which actually ends the cadence. And then the only difference with the very, very last part is that you're doing flips the whole time. Crash, 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 boom, crash, 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 except for the very, very, very last thing. And I'll show you that at the very last thing, it's like you flip up, flip down, and choke. So once again, you're flipping up, you flip down, swing, come back, choke. That's the very last thing that you do at the end of this cadence, and I'll show you where that is. But what I'm gonna do is play the whole cadence for you, so that way you have the visuals of where that is. So 1, 2, 1, 2. choke, crash, choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 choke, choke, crash, 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 crash, dip, crash, crash, flip, show, crash, flip, show, crash. Back to the dance, choke, crash, choke, crash, choke, crash, 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 flip, show, crash, flip, show, flip, show, flip up, down, choke. That's it. So when you go back into the dance, you want to be sure that you go like incredibly hard. Not incredibly hard. Don't kill yourself, obviously. Excuse my language. But don't, the first time you're doing it, you're kind of more just getting into it. You're trying to like feel it. Just trying to get the feel. But then the second time, you really put your all into it. Bow, bow. There's a little saying that we used to do when we did the dance. We did choke, bitch, come hither. It's that's kind of what we did, but in any case, that really brings out what the dance is supposed to be. So in any case, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about that, please be sure that you hit me. Again, send me a message, hit me up on GroupMe, call me, do whatever it takes. But that is all of Roots for the cymbals. I'll be making more videos, of course, before y'all get into Bandcamp. And again, if you need any reference guides or anything like that, please be sure that you tune into these videos. I still haven't got my sextet pad, so I can't really show the quints, any of the stuff that we used to do and whatnot yet, but it's nothing too far out of the ordinary anyway. But when I do get it, of course, I'll be sure to record videos for y'all throughout the season, as well as, of course, all of S.T.I.C.K.Y or S.T.I.C.K.Y alumni will be recording at the at homecoming this year anyway. So we'll make sure that we have actual recordings of the stuff that we play, so that way you guys will have a reference guide. But anyway, that's my time. Check y'all later.